Welcome to Magic Gathering Strat. I'm Dan, and this is the Modern Bible of Red Green Tron, chapter 31. Battle for Zendikar spoilers are out, and there are perhaps 3 cards we need to talk about. The first big one is, of course, Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. Let's look at him. He's obviously competing for the Ulamog the Infinite Gyre or the Sundering Titan spot. So, Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, 10 mana. When you cast Ulamog, he exiles 2 target permanents. He's indestructible, and when he attacks, a defending player exiles the top 20 cards. That probably means that you have to hit them 3 times to win the game, or 2 times if they can block. So, the comparison to old Ulamog is interesting. Costing 1 mana less is pretty important. That could mean 1 turn earlier. It doesn't necessarily mean 1 turn earlier than the Infinite Gyre, but it's important. I've been tempted to test Kozilek just because he costs 10 instead of 11. Exiling 2 permanents is a lot stronger than just destroying 1 permanent, because you can take 2 lands from combo decks. Ulamog the Infinite Gyre has Annihilator 4, which of course is better than Mill 20. A big difference that I didn't notice at first is that Ulamog the Infinite Gyre actually comes back. He is shuffled back into the library. But the Ceaseless Hunger is not. He can be reanimated then. But that's not something that is happening in Red Green Tron, so I'm going to ignore that. Also being an 11/11 compared to a... Okay, ignore that. Let's proceed. So the inevitability of the Infinite Gyre is quite important, because against control decks you can just cast Ulamog the Infinite Gyre, get him countered, and then get him back with Eye of Ugin, and eventually he will win the game. Eventually they will run out of counterspells. This doesn't happen with the Ceaseless Hunger, so I don't think you can straight up replace the Infinite Gyre unless you're playing Emrakul. I think you need 1 Eldrazi in the deck that has this get back into your library ability, at least in the control matchups. I think this is brilliant card design. I think the Infinite Gyre and the Ceaseless Hunger both can be played in Tron decks, maybe even together, but I think they serve very different purposes, because the Infinite Gyre with Annihilator 4, against an aggressive deck, he comes in, takes off their biggest threat, and then he just wrecks their board next turn. So I think he's better against aggro, while the Ceaseless Hunger is a lot better against combo, because taking 2 permanents, imagine taking 2 Karoo lands from Amulet Bloom, or taking 2 mountains from Splinter Twin. That's pretty good. So I think they actually serve entirely different purposes. But it gets even more complicated. Here is an unconfirmed spoiler at this point. Conduit of Ruin. Conduit of Ruin will be played for 6 mana. It's a 5/5. And then you can search for a colorless creature card with converted mana cost 7 or higher, i.e. an Ulamog or a Sundering Titan. And then you put the card on top of the library, and then you get 2 mana easier to cast Ulamog. So you can cast him on turn 4. So the dream play here is turn 3 Conduit of Ruin, turn 4 Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. And the game is over against combo decks. And I think this is a team thing, that you can cut Wormcoil Engine, because Wormcoil Engine doesn't shine against combo. His one purpose is to be the clock. Or at least his biggest purpose is to be the clock. So maybe we have 2 teams here. We have Wormcoil and Infinite Gyre against aggro decks, and we have Conduit of Ruin and the Ceaseless Hunger against combo decks. So maybe, just maybe, this is just a thought, you could get rid of your sideboard cards that are specifically against combo, such as Torpor Orbs, Slaughter Games, etc., and play these guys instead. But I think you need 3 Conduit of Ruin to actually be able to do this consistently. And maybe you even need 4 to actually have 1 on turn 3. I haven't seen any other interesting Eldrazi. In fact, none have been really close. I don't think Oblivion Sower does anything. He's looks like a standard card. But I think we need to speak about Desolation Twin, because Desolation Twin puts 20 power on the board for 10 mana. And that seems like a great thing, but it really doesn't do anything in any specific matchups. Of course, it is troublesome for Jund or Absan to handle, but you already have... They can't handle Sundering Titan. They have a problem with the Infinite Gyre. It's just cast something else for 10 mana. So all the other alternatives for 10 mana is much better than Desolation Twin. I need to mention that I'm seeing 2 Origins cards being played in Tron. Alchemist Vial for the 2 mana cantrip, and then a critical single creature fog effect. So maybe you can replace Relic of Preenitus. People keep saying that Relic of Preenitus isn't good in this current meta. And yeah, maybe. I also see people cutting red and playing Hangerback Walker over Pyroclasp, making the deck more consistent then, but reducing your sideboard options that you maybe no longer need if you have Conduit of Ruin and the Ceaseless Hunger. I think... I'm a pessimist, so I think, okay, none of these cards will do anything, but I thought I should mention them. Next week we will get back to more normal matchups. Thank you for watching.